Namaka, everyone. It's good to be in Nandi. Today, very pleased to be here, and I brought the good weather from Rewa, because that area doesn't get flooded a lot. But anyway, Acting Director, Mr. Mit Singh, stakeholders, I'd like to have a special mention of our JICA rep. Thank you for being here, and other development partners, stakeholders. There's a variety of organizations here. Thank you very much for coming in today. Some of the organizations I've worked in, so when you explain about the airport, give the correct details because I know all the operations here. Just for your information, I've also been a board director in AFL at that time, Airports Fiji Limited, and also a staff of 8 years. Air Terminal Services Fiji Limited at the counter, but also as a manager. So I'd like to acknowledge your presence, especially the students who are here today. Thank you for coming. I saw that there were a lot of other students outside. So unfortunately, they are not here, but outside. Probably we'll meet them later. And I'm very pleased to be here at this World Meteorological Day. This is my first one, even though I think I missed last year. And I'll mention a few key messages regarding the theme, Frontline of Climate Action, which has been mentioned by the Acting Director. Fiji is a small island state, as most of you know. The impact of climate change is very significant on small island states. So Fiji with other small island states are working together on mitigation. We've been to a few meetings. You've heard of the COP meetings. That's where the negotiations are made to mitigate, and also looking at how the emitting nations, those who emit greenhouse gases, will compensate us, because they are the culprits and we are facing the consequences. We are not immune to the devastating effects. We've seen that in the last, so many years, just recently, and also with the warnings from our very important office here regarding, is it the El Nino? El Nino. So the variations in rainfall, atmospheric temperatures, etc., which can cause extreme weather. Not only floods, but also cyclones. But we have to be resilient and be determined, and also strengthen our defenses, not only from the government side, but also the communities, and also as individuals, as families. I've always stressed that at the end of the day, it's how you prepare yourself. Do not be dependent on government. Government can only do that so much, but not everything. So that is one of the key messages we are advising the communities, especially in terms of essential services, such as water. So you have to have your backup plan. There will always be issues coming up regarding disruptions to essential services from extreme weather. We've seen that even in developed countries, such as the US, Australia, even in Europe, when there's extreme weather, you can't do anything. So what we need to do is prepare. So climate change is about not only environment, but also social and economic. When that happens, it impacts across. You all understand the economic side, social, even school students. Last week, they couldn't get to school. So I suppose it's how we plan and prepare. So as an incoming government, it is quite a task to look at the infrastructure, and generally in terms of how we prepare for extreme weather, and how we have to make sure that not only in relation to sustaining our energy, looking at renewable energy, but also the word resilience comes in. resilient infrastructure. How do you build resilient infrastructure? So that's very, very important, and that's something we need to look into as a nation moving forward in terms of planning and budgeting. So for me, coming in as a minister, that is a huge challenge in terms of when you plan. It's good to have a plan, but how do you finance it? How do you finance it? So that's where the Met services come in, forecasting maybe not only in the short term, but in the long term. And then you plan accordingly in terms of infrastructure. Before we just build infrastructure, but now you have to build infrastructure which is climate resilient. And how do you finance it? If you run a small business, you know the income must cover the expenditure. But some don't do that. They drink a lot of kava and buy a lot of cigarette. So whatever income you have disappears in that. And then there's a lack of expenditure to cover your income. Similarly, for the government, when we collect taxes, duty, etc., that's to fund the running of the government, including the budget for the ministries. But of course, that's not always enough. So if government is, for example, earning $100 a year, the cost of running government, including infrastructure, is about $300. So it's about 300% more, or 200% more. So where do you get the balance? That's why we'd like to thank JICA, who is here, and our international development partner, Australia, New Zealand. We don't cater to them, but we are always, we are grateful to them for always being, to have the heart to assist our nation. Not only JICA, but other development partners who are here in Fiji, and also that's also part of the very important discussion in the international forum. I told my staff, don't give me a meeting where I won't meet people who will assist us. So it's very important to go there and you explain and have proper discussions with our international development partners with well-prepared project proposals. So that's another area which we have to really improve on. I know the Met staff are listening. So we in the ministry are working on that in terms of revising the structure of the ministry to adhere or to adapt to the climate change environment, including climate financing. Because if we don't prepare technical details, proper scoping and budgeting, they won't assist us. So we've reviewed the structure of the ministry to adjust to that situation in order to balance income, expenditure, and the excess which needs to be there to fund our infrastructure, which has to be resilient to match the climate change situation. So with those words, thank you very much. And I'd like to end again by thanking the students here for coming today, and all our staff here, especially at the airport, all stakeholders, and wish you all the best in today's World Met Day.
Honorable Filipe Tuisawau, Minister for Public Works, Meteorological Services and Transport, members of the public, our stakeholders, invited guests, teachers and students. Very good morning to you all. Is it a good morning? Sunny? Past 2 weeks was very rainy, eh? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my utmost pleasure to welcome you all to the commemoration of the World Meteorological Day, World Met Day in short, here in Fiji. I extend a warm greetings to you all gathered here today. Climate change, as you know, presents an undeniable threat to our entire civilization. With its impact already evident and expected to be catastrophic, urgent global action is imperative. For this reason, WMO, or World Meteorological Organization, has chosen to commemorate World Met Day 2024, which is usually celebrated on the 23rd of March, but because of the adverse weather condition, we are celebrating it today. The theme for this year is at the front line of climate action. As we gather to mark World Met Day, we are reminded of the pivotal role that meteorology plays in our lives, especially in the face of numerous challenges posed by climate change. Fiji, like many other nations, stands at the front line of climate action. We are acutely aware of the profound and far-reaching consequences of climate change. Example, from rising sea levels to extreme weather events, like the Category 5 severe tropical cyclone Winston in 2016. As a small island developing state, we are particularly vulnerable to these impacts, which threatens our livelihood, infrastructure, and natural environment. Today, as we come together to raise awareness about the importance of climate action, let us reaffirm our commitment to taking bold and decisive steps to address the climate crisis. We must transition to low carbon and climate resilient pathways, mitigate greenhouse gas emission, and adapt to changing climate. Fiji has already taken significant strides in this regard, with initiatives such as the National Climate Change Policy and the Green Growth Framework. However, the challenges ahead are formidable, and we must redouble our efforts to build a more sustainable and resilient future for our nation and our planet. As we celebrate World Met Day, let us also recognize the tireless efforts of meteorological services and frontline responders who work tirelessly to monitor the weather patterns, provide early warnings, and support disaster preparedness and response effort. Their dedication and professionalism are invaluable in safeguarding lives and property in the face of climate-related hazards. I am pleased to announce that this year's commemoration or celebration will focus on showcasing the innovative solution and best practices that are emerging at the front line of climate action. By sharing knowledge, experiences, and lessons learned, we can inspire greater collaboration and collective action to address the climate crisis. In closing, let us reaffirm our commitment to standing at the front line of climate action, united in our determination to build a more sustainable, resilient, and equitable future for all. Okay, thank you once again for joining us today, and I look forward to fruitful discussion and collaboration in the days ahead. Okay, that's the end of my speech, but I would like to add more. As you go around the booth to our different divisions, you can ask as many questions. This is the data. You can ask as many as you want. If you have any suggestion for improvement, you can share with our forecasters, our climate officers, other divisions that will be visiting, hydrology division. Okay. And just to briefly explain the difference between hydrology, climatology, and meteorology. So meteorology is water in the atmosphere. Okay? When it falls on the ground, it becomes hydrology. So for forecasters, it's a duty to predict how much rain and where it will fall, the intensity, duration, for how long, which area, and the intensity of tropical cyclone, all those. For the hydrology team, their responsibility is to forecast which area will get flooded when. Okay? And the climate, so if you do the long-term average of weather, it becomes climate. Okay? What we're experiencing day to day is weather. Long-term average of weather is the climate. Okay? So that basically summarizes the three main output division. Okay, thank you very much.